and welcome to the Ombudsman program. My name is Diane Wellborn. I'm the Ombudsman, and I'm going to be your host for this evening's program. Tonight, I'm very excited to bring you two young women who are working to make an important change for us in Dayton. First, I'd like to introduce Rachel Meketon, who is working with the Greater Dayton Union Co-op Initiative. I hope I got all that correct.
You
okay,
did.
Very good. And then also joining us tonight is Kenya Baker, who is the outreach coordinator for the newly proposed and being formed Gem City Market. So we're going to talk tonight both about the Union Co-op Initiative and its relationship to Gem City, and Gem City and the activities that they are embarking upon. So thank you both very much for coming in tonight to tell our viewers all about your exciting work. I'm sure that they're going to like hearing about it. I'm pleased. Are you able to tell our viewers a little bit about the history of the Mondragon Cooperative in Spain, and
Sure.
tell us a little bit about that, how that is going and how it was started.
Yep, so the Mondragon Cooperative is the largest cooperative business in the world. It has something like 80,000 employees, most of whom also own the business. So they share in the profits of the business. They have more than 100 different lines of business, mainly in manufacturing, retail, including a grocery cooperative chain, financial services, and education. So they began the idea for Mondragon began in the 40s. Just after the Spanish Civil War, the Basque region opposed the Franco regime. So they were devastated, completely devastated, and without any resources from the central government in Spain. So a young priest was assigned to a town in the Basque region and realized that as much as he had a religious duty, he also had a social and economic duty. And so he, with other people in the town, began to explore the history of cooperative action in that region and also plan for the future of it. And so I think it wasn't until 10 years later, in the mid-1950s, that they purchased their first manufacturing company and structured it as a cooperative, and then they've grown from there.
That's really very remarkable, isn't it? And was there a history, do you know, in the Basque region of cooperatives even before the devastation of the Franco regime? Do you know?
There was, but I don't know that much about it.
Okay, well, no, that's fine, because we're interested in the one that has been successful and a model that it sounds like is a leader in the world, actually. So, so tell us a little bit about how that concept and that successful cooperative in the Basque region of Spain ended up in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah, so Mondragon has a representative in the United States who has been very active in forming partnerships with different organizations and labor unions that are interested in the cooperative model. And he forged a partnership with the United Steelworkers based out of Pittsburgh to help them think about, as manufacturing companies close or are at risk of closing, what are the possibilities for the employees, the union members, buying that business and becoming the owners themselves. And so he formed an agreement with the United Steelworkers. And in some ways, by chance, one of a very strong labor leader in Cincinnati heard about the agreement, brought it to the attention of other labor leaders in the city. They contacted Mondragon and the United Steelworkers and have really been the laboratory for exploring what the coalition, what the model could look like.
Okay. Sometimes it's very interesting, isn't it, when there are perhaps single individuals who bring about these things. You've mentioned the priest, you've mentioned a labor leader in Cincinnati, and the representative of Mondragon. So, okay, that's really remarkable. Did you have anything else to weigh in on that part?
No, not necessarily. You did a very good job explaining the history of Mondragon And I just believe that the correlation, if I was to say anything, the correlation for Dayton, Ohio, and the urban area, West Dayton, is the fact that the area had been depleted back in the 30s and 40s with redlining and divestment. And so the Madrigal model was perfect for us. And it was actually Erica Bruton, who was the founder here, that came up with the idea to start a co-op. An African-American young girl. She's from, actually, she's middle-aged, but she's from Dayton, loving Dayton and wanting to do something about the food desert after some information came about that was developed from 2 agencies back in 2015. And there were some opportunity maps that arose that showed actually all of the divestment and the lack of opportunity, the ability to achieve a goal in the West Dayton area. So that Madrigal model was perfect with its 10 principles for Dayton.
Okay. I don't want you to have to spout all 10 principles, but let's educate the viewers a little bit about what some of the key principles would be then, if you'd like.
So one is democratic control. So there, it's managed, but the control is distributed throughout the organization. Another is education, which feeds into that goal and all of the goals in terms of educating the employee owners about how the business works and business finance, so that they can make more informed decisions when they're given the opportunity. Openness, I can't remember what the exact phrase is, but
We call it open book accounting.
that, as well as openness in terms of inclusion.
Right.
That's where I was going with that one. So anyone who can do the work can become an owner if they can contribute successfully.
Okay, well that's good to have some of those important principles and guidelines out there when we understand how that's going. So what is the state of the cooperative worker-owned initiative in Cincinnati now, after they started and then the idea kind of migrated north here to Dayton? So where are they now? What should we know about their operations?
Yep, they have 2 successful cooperative businesses, a cooperative farm, and also a home insulation company, so kind of a construction company. And then they actually, so Erica was in part the connection that she made between their work in Cincinnati and what was happening here in Dayton, is that they were working on a grocery store in a food desert as well. And they're close. They've fully funded it, but we've been catching up. So it's not quite open yet. Yeah, but
Well, we're not in competition with one another, but you do want to look and see what others are doing so that we can learn from that, you know. So we, many years ago, our family was involved in a cooperative when we lived in the Chicago area, and so that was a very, interesting and good experience. But I'm sure there are others in the country that you all are looking at and in conversation with. So why don't you say a little bit about others that are around?
I mean, we've actually had an opportunity to attend conferences as far as Milwaukee and meet with hundreds, I would say, of co-op owners and developers. And Dayton really is phenomenal when it comes to Gem City Market Cooperative. In a year, we just marked a year of selling member shares, and we've sold over 900 member shares, which is unheard of in the cooperative world. Really? There are co-ops that have been in existence for 4 to 5 years and only have maybe 80, 100 members. So
That really is remarkable.
Dayton is really standing up and recognizing that this collective effort needs support.
Very good. I'm glad to know about that. So the role of your 2 organizations, why don't you tell me the goals, and the viewers tell us the goals that you all share in common, because you are with the worker organizing and the union part of that, and you are with the market part, but yet you're working hand in hand. So talk to our viewers a little bit about that, please.
So So it's funny. So the market preceded the nonprofit. The nonprofit was formed in part to facilitate the market, but then also to facilitate other cooperative projects in the Dayton region. So we're continuing to be the base for staffing the project and funding it, and providing sort of technical work, and while also looking at other cooperative possibilities.
Okay, so you are planning others. This is the only one now, but you have others that are in the works. Okay, that you'll come back and talk about when it's time, when it's ready. Then,
Right.
And would you like to add in on that comment?
She explained it very well.
Good. That's great. Do we have significant union involvement here in Dayton, either with Gem City or working with your initiative?
So the Guducci Union is in our name because we understand sort of the power that the labor movement has had in this country, or the impact it has had on improving the wages and well-being of workers, and we want to work in solidarity with that movement. What it means in practice from our organization's point of view is that we are union neutral, which means that if a union wants to present a case to the worker owners at any cooperative that we're a part of, we won't stand in the way, and the workers themselves can vote on whether or not they want to join the union. So, so I think the food workers, United Food Workers, are probably going to make a pitch to the employees of the Gem City Market when it opens, but it'll be their decision and their vote.
Right. Okay. So at this point, do you have union leadership that is involved with your initiative? Are they, for example, on your board of directors, or are they advising your project? Are you working closely with them, or not so much?
We have one member of our board of directors is Carl Kennebrew. He's the president of the IUECWA.
Okay.
He's on our board.
That's very significant. We have a caller, so I'm going to turn now. We have a caller. You're on the air, and we'd very much like to welcome your question.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're doing a show on this subject. It's really an inspiring development. I fully believe in the idea of co-ops, and even more in the idea of worker-owned businesses. My son, who was a union steward for the graduate students at the University of California, fully and deeply believes that is the direction that we need to go in the future. So my question is, what percentage of the people who will eventually be employed, or who will be worker owners of the Gem City Market, will be owners of the company? At what level will they be given ownership shares? I guess I'm talking about profit, if there are any. Well, that's my question. I'm sorry if it's not very precise.
That's quite all right. Thank you for your question, and we'll get an answer for you here from these two guests. Thank you very much. Okay, I think you all heard it. I don't need to repeat it for you, but so would you like to weigh in, or?
Right, so that's a very good question. So the community worker owner model that we're utilizing for Gem City Market is the 65-35 split, with the workers owning 65% and the community member owners owning 35%. We expect to see profitability within the 4th to 5th year, and so at that time we hope, if the members vote on it, to give out patronage dividends.
Okay, dividends. And then how did you all determine that you were going for the 65-35 split?
Well, the founders and the incubating organization, Guducci, really believes that the employees need to have a sense of ownership. There's a need in Dayton, as much as for quality food access, gainful employment. So the purpose is to have jobs where people can be proud and be owners. That will give us great customer service and all around excellent, care when it comes to food and a grocery store.
Right.
So we're excited.
Great, good. I'm glad to know about. Did you have any other comment on that to the question? Or?
No, that's perfect.
Okay, I didn't want to leave any thought unexamined here. What you've said a little bit about the values of democracy and equity that are incorporated from Mondragon and in your initiative as well, and you just spoke to. You just spoke to some of that in the 65-35 split and the value of the workers having there. Is there anything else that you would like to add about the role of democracy operating within the future of Gem City Market?
Well, I would just add that it's important to understand one member, one vote. So when a membership is purchased by an individual, not by a household or by a partnership, like a set of spouse, but by an individual, one member, one vote. So I think that is an important element. And also, we would like for people, as the community engagement coordinator, we would like for people to come out and participate in the democratic process. We recently had the opportunity to induct 2 board members. So that was an exciting time. We had 200 and some odd members come out and cast their vote. So we just really want to see our membership actually exercise that democratic ability.
And so that will be at, I presume, annual meetings? Annual meetings, and then any votes that the board needs to call in between times, right?
Correct.
Okay. So who is on the board of the Gem City Market now?
Well, if I leave off anyone, you help me, Rachel. But we have our board president, who's Amaha Salisi. And then we have Jewel Resticus, who's property owner of Manco Properties. We have David Greer, who's one of our new inductees, and Carrie Scarf. David does a lot in the community. He's just a huge community activist and worked on numerous projects in Dayton. Carrie works with 5 River Metro Parks, and she's done a lot for the river development project that's going on in terms of surveys and getting out and talking to the people. And so everyone knows her. So we're excited about having her on the board. We also have Leela Klein, who's the executive director of Gaducci. So, of course, she's an asset to us all, and we love her. Hi, Leela. Also on our board, we have Rick, Fred Holly, our treasurer. Is that it? Do we name everyone? I think that. No, Erica Fields from the Human Relations Council. Lo, cannot forget you, Lo Harris. So Lo Harris works with us. He has a long lineage of family members that have been in the grocery business, so he brings a lot to the table in terms of, giving us that intellectual capital of how to run a grocery store and what that looks like. And I think that's everyone.
Excellent. That's
it?
great. You have a good group of people.
She has tough questions.
When they are elected, how long is their term of service? So the individuals you've named are going to be there for a couple of years, or?
Right, so we have 2 positions that are geo-mapped, so we want those positions to be designated only for individuals who live within our target area, that food desert area.
Now, I'm going to ask you what that is next.
The food desert area.
Yeah.
Okay.
So stop a minute and just take a little detour. What's the target area?
So if you are looking at a map of West Dayton, you could basically delineate it by 75, Main Street, Philadelphia, and then 35. That would give you a good idea
Okay, how far
of the
north
geographic
does it go?
area. How far north? Maine.
Okay. Okay, Main runs north-south, okay.
Right.
All right, good. So that's a big area.
Yeah, it's a really large area. It was 11,000 population-wise.
Okay.
11,000.
All right.
So it's really a large
So
area.
2 members you want on your board who are residents
Right.
of that community that you
Correct.
just described, of the target.
Correct.
Good.
So I believe most terms are 2 years. The 2 inductees, one has a 3-year term and one has a 2-year term.
I see. So they'll be,
So we can rotate
Yes.
people, and people who have the expertise and the longevity can stay to kind of help the neophytes.
good, good.
It's outlined in our bylaws, also on our website.
Okay.
You remember, right?
Exactly.
Everybody's a member.
Of course, I'm a member.
Of course.
Yes, and you have been meeting in different sites in the community, which moves it around and makes it accessible to different folks. Omega and Northwest and Central, Grace, yes, in the fellowship room there at Grace.
Potter's House.
Yep.
Potter's House, Dayton.
So you've moved it around. Now, where are you hoping to? Where's this market going to be located when you
Ooh, that
get
is
going?
the question. I've heard that it's the worst kept secret in Dayton. Do you really not know?
I don't know if my viewers know or not.
Oh, well, it is actually going to be released in a press release on Wednesday,
So you don't want to preempt that.
May 16th. I don't.
Okay, I understand.
But Wednesday, May 16th at
Okay.
10 o'clock in the morning.
Good.
We're going to be releasing it.
Well, that's good. So then people will know. But presumably it's within the target area.
It definitely is
It's within the target area.
And I'll say it's
Okay.
within the first 4 to 5 blocks of Salem Avenue.
Okay, well that's very good to know. That's a real high traffic area.
Yes.
A lot of people go by that area. And
Yes.
there's a lot of people that live in that area. So
Yes.
I'm going to need to ask you what for you is probably a very basic question, but it's still one that I think a lot of people listening may not fully understand. How do you define food desert?
Food desert. You want?
I think it's 40% of the population lives below 200% of the poverty line and more than a mile from a grocery store, and that's the USDA's definition.
Okay.
So that's what we're using.
All right. So it is below 40%, did you say, below 200% of poverty? 40%, and then more than a mile from a grocery store. Okay. So that means that there aren't a lot of places in the target area that you've described exactly that fit that. Have you, what type of analysis did you do of this target area? Please just share with the viewers, how did you begin this process before you started selling shares, and when you're still just doing the analysis of what needs to happen in this area and what can we possibly do? Talk a little bit about either what studies you did or interviews or focus groups, whatever it is that you all did.
Right. So we had some organizations that came together and conducted a feasibility study.
Okay.
Basically to see where we could place a market within the trajected area and experience what we needed in terms of sustaining ourselves. And so University of Dayton was highly
There's also Associated Wholesale Grocers. It's a national consultancy, but also the University of Dayton helped with the business plan.
Right.
Good.
So
what did we learn from those particular studies?
that we needed a certain level of population density, which was challenging because of the housing crisis back in 2008. But we found that sweet spot, so to speak, in the food desert with that area there on Salem.
Okay. So you have to have that density so that you have the traffic and the people being actually shopping there and becoming members there, hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah. And what are there particular features in this Northwest neighborhood in addition to the poverty level and the 1 mile access? Are there other attributes or features in that area that attracted the Gem City to it?
Median income was critical. It played a part.
Okay.
The median income needed to be a certain number in order to ensure that we could be profitable
Okay.
at some point. I think that those are the primary factors.
All right. Very, very. Go ahead.
That was in the business planning process, but the process that you alluded to before with the opportunity mapping, where the Department of Public Health, I think with OSU, created all these maps with different social indicators, social and economic indicators. It also showed that this area of the city that's a food desert also suffers from much higher rates of diet-related illness. And so that was also part of what drove the focus.
That would be a focus of health. That's right. The public health would be looking at that a lot, as well as other indicators like infant mortality and some other factors that are going on in those areas. You mentioned that Dayton has had a fantastic response with over 900 members compared to some other parts of the country.
Right.
To what do you attribute that?
Well, mine is going to be the lay answer.
Okay.
I'll give the lay answer, and then she can give the professional answer. But I just believe that Dayton is full of phenomenal individuals. We have been a home for innovation for a long time. If you think of all of the famous musicians and artists that have come out of Dayton, Paul Laurence Dunbar, the Wright brothers, I just believe that Dayton is a place that's full of wonderful, phenomenal people. And so when an opportunity arises, then we take it. So even though the opportunity mapping revealed that there were not a lot of opportunities being afforded to us, and we see a lot of companies pulling out, such as Aldi's, that leave us in a devastated state, I believe once we have, and in this case we have, discovered a means to have a wherewithal, then we all get on board.
Do you know what percentage of the 900 members are residents of the target area?
We just looked at those numbers, and I believe it's 70 in the 70%.
Okay.
Yes, so a large number.
Yeah, that's a majority. That's great. That is a good number.
But what we would like to see is more of the public, the target area, getting $10 memberships, because we really want for individuals who would otherwise not have the access to the healthy food to take the opportunity. So people in the community who are on welfare or any level of assistance that puts them at that place of 200% below the poverty line, we want them to take advantage of buying these memberships. They're for a lifetime, they're $100, but if they have a situation of low income, then they can buy a membership for $10, and that's a lifetime, $10, and you're a member of something that is undoubtedly going to be a historical monument movement in Dayton.
Okay. And we'll probably come back to this at the end, but if somebody's watching this program now, how do they get in touch with you to pay their $10 and show you whatever proof of income you require in order to gladly sell them the $10 membership fee?
So the best way is www.gemcitymarket.com. Another way is Facebook. On Facebook, you can look up Gem City Market, and you will find us and our opportunities to attend local meetings. And also you can email getinvolved@gemcitymarket.com, and I'll be glad to lead you to Maya, who's our membership coordinator.
Okay, that's just great. Do you, so is the primary method of communication right now with your own members, is that through Facebook? Is that the primary?
Well, we also have a newsletter that we send out monthly to all of our members. So.
Okay. That's good to know. A monthly newsletter.
A monthly newsletter.
And if you have paid your membership, either the $100 or the $10, you'll get that newsletter.
Yes.
Okay, very good. I'm being told we have another call, so I'm going to come back to that line of questioning for you. Yes, you're on the air. We'd love to hear your question.
Yes, thank you. This whole project seems to be so sincerely inspired and thoroughly researched. And my question now has to do with the sources for the food in terms of healthy food and locally grown food. I know I may be getting ahead of the whole project, but I want to hear something about local producers and growers and the level of nutrition and health in the food that will be offered.
Okay.
Fruit, for example, and fresh vegetables. Are there plans to enter into relationships with local growers?
Thank you. Very good question. We'll get an answer to that. Why don't you take it away, ladies?
That's a great question. We're actually giving a lot of thought to how we will be acquiescing our food supply, and we are planning on using 30%, at least 30%, 25 to 30% of the store to be shelved by local vendors. We know the benefits of actually consuming things like honey that are local. That's great for, individuals who use honey for allergies and, seasonal allergies. Local grown honey is the best. So there are a lot of vendors as well that we have encountered, with our work at 2nd Street Market, because on Saturdays we set up at 2nd Street Market, and so we've met a lot of local vendors through that venue and others. Each month we're probably in 6 to 7 different locations, so we have an opportunity to meet a lot of local vendors. So we also welcome local vendors to reach out to us through the different methods that I listed, www.gemcitymarket.com, our Facebook page, as well as get involved at gemcitymarket.com. With reference to being local vendors, we are looking to hire a general manager, so that question will be properly addressed here within the next few months.
Okay. All right, good. So you're going to hire that person who can then continue to connect with with local vendors.
Yes, ma'am.
That's very good. And it's good to have a goal of 30% local to start with. So that's very excellent. The caller also mentioned something about nutrition, and so markets and co-ops are about worker involvement and ownership, and one membership, one vote. But it's also about getting good food into an area that has maybe some health issues that need to be dealt with. So will nutrition play, nutrition education, will that play a large factor in your plans?
Yes, a huge factor. In fact, down to the design of the store and how we place our products, so that customers who come into the store will be driven to purchase more healthy choices versus driving them to a Hostess rack. We want to drive them to organic products. However, we will have big box retail items as well as some specialty, exotic, and organic items.
Okay.
So.
And then also, we're working on how to get nutritionists on site so that people can have one-on-one visits with nutritionists, and then the same people will offer classes that are open to the public at the store.
Yes.
So we're working on that as well.
Right, we're excited about having a full-service kitchen as well to do some like menu planning and recipe sharing and community cooking, a hot bar, and that third space, and a minute clinic, because we believe that people can treat illness with food.
Good. All of that looks like a really good plan, and exciting about that. What is your outreach target now that you have 900?
Right.
And you mentioned within the target area, those that may be lower income or on a fixed income, you already want to reach out to them.
Right.
What other groups are you looking at that you hope to bring on board?
Well, I wouldn't say that there are necessarily other groups that we've identified. However, the demographic of the target area, we really want the people that live within the area to support the market. So that would be our target. That's why it's called our target population, right? But hopefully 10% of the entire target population. So maybe another 1,100 members by doors open.
Okay.
Next spring.
Next spring is when
Next
you
spring.
plan and when
Yes,
you hope to
ma'am.
have the doors open.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
yeah, that's wonderful. Well, good.
Yes,
Good
ma'am.
luck. That's a tough, a hard goal, I think, but not doable goal. You know,
Right.
It's good.
We defied odds already, so we're on a roll.
No, that's good. That's excellent. Now, what are some of the challenging questions that you're getting from either neighbors or other businesses or local farmers? What clearly the reaction is good because you have sold 900 membership shares.
Right.
But what are some of the questions that you're getting that are challenging at this stage of your development?
Well, I think that there's a concern amongst the African American population within the target area of gentrification. And so we try to express as clearly as possible that that will not be the case, but it's a difficult sell because of the history. And then individuals looking at downtown and seeing how well downtown is being developed and gentrified. Well, we're just on the other side of the river, but downtown was not considered in any of the beginning statistics or data that was gathered. So, you know, that goes without being said. And I believe that Gem City Market will be a market for the people, and if built by the people. That's why, again, the democratic process is so important. People need to come out and get involved. The market will be what we make it. Mm-hmm. And if we sit back and, you know, naysayers will be for every movement. And if we sit back and we fall into a naysayer type of mentality, then, you know, it starts with an N because it's negative. We have to be positive about it. We have to get out and we have to make Gem City Market what we want it to be.
Okay. And then what are some of the cautions from your experience with cooperatives and other places? What are some of the cautions that you all are working to make sure never come about here in your process of worker ownership?
Well, you want to answer that?
If you have something to say, go ahead.
I was just going to mention, because I've, you know, been to the conferences, I think that patronage is critical. Patronage is critical. And patronage means we're supporting the market. We have to support the market. There's a press release and a kickoff for the capital campaign. There have been numerous donations to the tune of, are we at 2 million yet? Approximately. Approximately $1.5 million donations.
Is what you're shooting for. You want $1.5 million.
We
is your
need
goal.
4.2.
Okay, 4.2.
4.2, and we've
Okay.
had about $1.5 million
I see.
donated.
Uh-huh.
And we need the community to support and match it as much as possible. So like at our press release, we're inviting members of the community to Grand area, Superior, Salem Avenue. If you live in that area, come out and find out what all the buzz is about. Mm-hmm. Because Gem City Market really is more than a market, it's quite a movement. And so come out and be a part of it.
Okay. And I certainly hope our viewers who have not done so yet will do so once now that they know how to contact you and where you're going to be and how to find you. When is your next meeting?
Our next meeting has not been scheduled yet because we just, like I said, brought on the 2 new board members. So we're wanting to acclimate them. We're doing a lot of training. I actually have a training, and the public is welcome to come out. A volunteer training on Thursday down at the United Way building. That's 33 West 1st Street. That's on the 5th floor in the United Way board room. We're going to be having a volunteer training session, an engagement session, teaching.
For members who want to bring up their
For
involvement.
members who want to increase their involvement, and for people who want to become members and want to get involved.
Right.
I welcome anyone to come out.
Sure. And for members who are members and want to learn more, what other things would you be hoping and asking members to participate in at your training? What are the opportunities that
Right.
you have for further involvement other than just the membership?
So we have phone rallies around our member meetings. Our member meetings are really exciting times. We have approximately 150 people there, 75 new and 75 that are members. Tables and booths all summer long. Like I said, we have 6 to 7 on average in the winter. So now we're coming up on the summer months. I'm looking for 10 and 12 opportunities during the month to go and talk about Gem City Market and express your pride in one of the greatest movements that Dayton has ever seen. So canvassing door to door. So there are lots of opportunities. There's clerical, administrative support, several ways to get involved. I was actually a volunteer for 6 months.
Oh, good.
And I loved it.
Okay. That's
Yes,
good.
I worked.
So it took.
hard, right. It was fun though.
Yeah. And then do you all have block by block an analysis in your target area of who's living in that block and whose door you need to go knock on?
We do, but we found that it's a lot better to just track where we're going, and so that we don't, double up on places that we're going. Of course, now the summer months just recently kicked back in. I mean,
Yes.
So
It's
it
here
feels
now.
like summer, officially, right?
Yes.
Finally. So now we're looking to get back out there. So we track where we've gone. Initially, we started off using some documentation that they had with some of the other organizations that have done door-to-door canvassing, but we found it better to just knock on every door.
Okay.
Because you really never know who's staying in any house. I mean, just because they're one political party or just because, they may not be a registered voter, we don't want anything to limit the people who come, patronize, and support Gem City Market.
Okay, I can see that. That's right. Now you of course, you have your membership sales, and you just mentioned your capital campaign goal. How did you determine that 4.2 million is what's needed for this project? I know boards do a lot of that work, but still,
Right.
let's talk a little bit about how we arrived at that.
Well, I know there was a lot of research involved, and actually our initial goal was 3.9, but because of labor costs,
Okay.
construction costs, inflation goes up.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Unfortunately.
Okay. And what size property do you look at having?
Square footage, 15,000.
Okay, so it's going to be 15,000 square feet. All right, sounds very large. Then that's good.
Right.
And I assume that you're looking to all the community resources for grants and for helps like that. And are you able to look beyond our community, or do you think that is that viable for you?
We are. If there's a national grant opportunity that might be applicable to the Gem City Market, we are applying. We're reading
Is
those
that
grants.
something part of your organization is helping research to do?
Our organization and the Hall Hunger Initiative and other organizations, as they see things, are sending them our way.
Right, right. But so far, Dayton has been very responsive to you, so that's a good thing. And most places are. So particularly for our viewers, right at this season, when you have this volunteer meeting or training meeting at the United Way coming up, you're going to be trying to get people to participate in tabling at booths during the summer, wherever they go, and to be door knocking and to do phone calling to either get people to come to meetings or encourage their membership, right? Okay.
And we just completed in our last meeting drafting the volunteer handbook.
Okay.
So a group of volunteers have been working on the volunteer handbook and coming up with incentives for volunteers.
Right.
So it's exciting to work at the foundation.
Yes, it is. At the beginning, because as you say, it's a movement, and you have an opportunity to do all of that. I'd like now to give you all just a quick minute chance to comment on something maybe I haven't asked you about that you really feel like the viewers need to know about the movement and about the Gem City Market.
You have anything? I just want people, if I could petition the viewers to do any one thing, it would be to get involved. Get involved at gemcitymarket.com is my email. get involved. Come out, attend a meeting, check out our Facebook, Gem City Market, and visit our website, www.gemcitymarket.com. And I just implore you to do that and find out what this market is about, because it's your market.
That is
It's everyone's
perfect.
market.
It's everyone's market. It's our market. It's a collective. And that's cooperative means so much more. People, I can't even shorten the word. It's hard to say co-op because it's the greatness of it. It's the collective and the unity that will renew your spirit and how you envision the world, to see people of all different races and religions coming together, different ages coming together for one common cause.
That's very good, and I'm sure that you'll have a lot of chance throughout the summer months with all the activities that Dayton has going in the summer to be able to share that message with everyone broadly there. Yes. And I think once your big announcement is out about where you're going to be, then you can get a big sign, future home of, all that kind of stuff. And that
That's going to be exciting.
that will certainly help your marketing abilities a lot,
Right.
will it not?
Yes, as a member, I feel like a new homeowner. I can't wait to yes, this is where our house is going to be.
Okay.
Our food house, our storehouse.
Right. And back to your networking with some of the local farmers and locally grown and everything. That is wonderful, but we do live in a seasonal area. I mean, we're not where it's always warm and things always grow, right? So how do you plan to be working with that? And hold your thought on that, because I'm being told there's yet another call.
Okay.
So. Yes, you're on the air. We'd like to hear your question. Go ahead.
Yes, I just had a couple of things I wanted to ask. First, I know you mentioned earlier that the principle of membership was one member, one vote, not one household. So I guess that means that within individual households there can be multiple members. And so if I have adult children, 20-something and 30-something children who have gone off to college and university and moved away, but who come back home frequently and who would be very supportive of this movement, are they eligible to purchase membership? And then my second question relates to community organizing. I've been impressed by the role of certain organizations in West Dayton in organizing resistance to the closure of Good Samaritan. So the NAACP, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and the West Dayton churches are those community, grassroots, community-based organizations. Are they being mobilized to create this new market for our neighborhood?
Right.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll get your answers. So, in a household, you got multiple people.
Right.
Okay. If they're over 18,
Right.
I presume they can all have their own memberships.
And if they're under 18, they can have a membership. They just wouldn't get a vote.
Okay. All right.
To vote, you have to be 18, but you can have a membership as a child.
Okay. And then for people that maybe don't live in this community anymore but come back frequently, people that are traveling through,
Yes.
they're eligible
Yes,
even if they're not residents of this county or whatever, this
Yes,
area?
ma'am.
Okay.
We have former Daytonians who live in other states that have purchased memberships.
That wanted to join. Okay, well, that's good. Then about the community organizing.
Right, that is a great question.
I'll let you take
That is a
that.
great question. And I agree, they have responded phenomenally to the closing or prospective closing of Good Sam Hospital, as well as the closing of Aldi's. And we have been collaborating with those agencies. We actually are aspiring to start a faith-based advisory board as an shoot off of our board, our current board. So as I mentioned, we recently inducted David Greer on our board, and he has been extremely active with those organizations, the NAACP, as well as the faith-based group that you named, and in terms of organizing. So we're looking forward to working with those individuals more closely as we develop our faith board, our faith advisory board.
Very good. Do you know of another co-op that has such a faith-based advisory board? Have you run into that in the past?
So Mondragon began with a faith community.
Right.
But I actually don't. Well, there is an organization even before the Cincinnati Union Co-op Initiative. I can't remember what they're called, but there was a pastor in Cincinnati that also has begun some cooperative businesses. Okay. I'm sure there are many examples of faith and the cooperative movement overlapping.
Okay, because sometimes we wonder if we're inventing something new or if we're finding our way into something that another group has already done. You know,
right.
Good idea.
It's hard. we have to figure those things out.
But Dayton churches have responded greatly to the co-op. I've gone to almost a church every Sunday. Good. So different churches have asked for me to come out, and I welcome that invitation at getinvolved@gemcitymarket.com. Drop me an email, and I would love to come out and speak with any churches that are interested.
That's good. I think our viewers can clearly hear that you will accept any and all invitations to come and inform people. And if you can't make it yourself, you're going to be sending your volunteers that you're going to be training at the United Way who can come in and other places that you're going to be training to come in and help with that.
Yes,
so again, people should find you on Facebook.
On our Gem City Market page.
Okay, and gemcitymarket.com.
Visit it. www.gemcitymarket.com.
Take a look at that. All right, very good. And you can be contacted through that Facebook or that website. It'll get to you
correct.
Issue that invitation.
I check both daily.
Okay, good. I'm sure that you do because you need to. What are the next plans for your organization's involvement here as they're moving toward fundraising and looking at building and all of that? Where are you all going to be working next?
You know, we're looking at a bunch of different possibilities right now. I'm currently running some workshops. So this Saturday morning, I'm doing a workshop for Welcome Dayton at the Human Relations Council on immigrant-led cooperative models. So we'll see where that goes.
Okay, very good. And do you have yet another workshop scheduled after that one
After Saturday, not yet.
Okay,
but
you're
we'll be
open.
posting it on our Facebook page, Caducci, Greater Dayton Union Co-op Initiative.
Okay, so you'll be posting it there.
Plug it.
so people can contact you all as well. Well, that's good. Well, I hope that the goal of both raising the money and of increasing the memberships takes a big leap this summer for you all as you move with that progress. And I'd like to thank you very much for being guests on the program this evening. It was lovely to get your information, so thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
And thanks to the viewers for watching. We appreciate it very much. Good night.